Be me, Ray, 32. Lead designer at a pretty solid studio. Let's call it Creative Forge. Not some giant soulless corporation, but not a tiny startup either. Maybe 50, 60 people. The pay is good, the work is challenging, and the people are, for the most part, competent. That's all I ever really wanted from a job. Just show up, do cool stuff, get paid what you're worth, and go home. For the first few years, that's exactly what it was. The boss, Mr. Moore, is this older guy, probably in his late 60s. He founded the company back when you still used actual paste-up boards for layouts. He's tough, but fair. Cares about one thing and one thing only: the quality of the work. If your portfolio was amazing, he didn't care what you looked like, who you were, or what you did on the weekend. This created a real meritocracy. The best designers got the best projects and the biggest bonuses. Simple. Our design team was pretty tight-knit. About 10 of us in the main group, maybe a 60-40 split between guys and girls. Never felt any weird tension. We'd grab lunch together, help each other out with difficult projects, complain about clients, normal office stuff. We had a shared respect for each other's skills. If someone nailed a project, everyone knew it and gave them props. It was a good system. It worked. You knew if you put in the hours and produced top-tier work, you'd be rewarded. The HR department was basically one woman who had been with Mr. Moore since the beginning. She handled payroll, benefits, and that was about it. No drama, no mandatory fun days, no ideological crusades. Then, sometime last spring, she announced her retirement. We all pitched in for a gift and wished her well. Didn't think much of it. Mr. Moore announced that they were modernizing the HR department and had hired a new head of people and culture. Even the title sounded exhausting. A week later, Luna walks in. First impression, she looked like she was designed by a corporate committee. Sharp pantsuit, severe haircut, a smile that didn't reach her eyes. She carried one of those reusable water bottles covered in stickers with slogans on them. Things like, "Smash the patriarchy" and "The future is female." Okay, a little on the nose, but whatever. Live and let live. Her introductory email was a masterpiece of buzzwords. It was all about fostering inclusive dialogues, interrogating our internal biases, and building new, equitable paradigms. A few of the guys and I were passing it around in our group chat, joking about it. We were so naive. We thought it was just meaningless corporate fluff. The first change was the posters. One morning, we came in, and the clean, minimalist walls of our studio were covered in these awful, brightly colored posters. "Check Your Privilege" was hanging over the coffee machine. A diagram explaining toxic masculinity was taped to the men's bathroom door. It felt less like an office and more like a college dorm common room. Then came the mandatory weekly sensitivity workshops, an hour every Thursday, where we all had to sit in the conference room while Luna stood at the front with a PowerPoint presentation. The topics were always the same: how men take up too much space in meetings, how common phrases are actually microaggressions, how we need to be allies. Most of us just zoned out. The girls on the team looked just as bored as the guys. They were designers. They wanted to be designing, not sitting through this stuff. But you could tell Luna was in her element. She loved the sound of her own voice. She'd ask loaded questions to the room, like, "Can anyone share an example of when they witnessed the patriarchy at work this week?" Complete silence. Everyone just stared at their phones or doodled in their notebooks. The silence would just make her more determined. She'd look around the room, making eye contact with the guys one by one, with this look of disappointment, like we were all failing her test. After a few weeks of this, she started organizing women's-only lunches in the main conference room. The door would be closed, and they'd put a little sign on it: "Safe space in session." None of the guys cared. We were happy to have the office to ourselves and not have to walk on eggshells. We'd just order some pizzas and talk about video games or whatever. One of the female designers, a good friend of mine, told me later that the lunches were just Luna complaining about the male employees for an hour. She said Luna would go on and on about how the men in the company were a boys' club and how they were probably getting paid more for the same work. My friend said she tried to push back, saying that the pay seemed pretty fair and was based on your portfolio and experience. But Luna just gave her this pitying look and said she was suffering from internalized misogyny. My friend stopped going to the lunches after that. So the vibe in the office had definitely changed. It wasn't hostile, just weird. There was a new layer of tension that wasn't there before. We tried to ignore it and just focus on our work. Mr. Moore seemed completely oblivious. He was a hands-off owner. He trusted his department heads to do their jobs. He probably saw Luna's buzzwords and thought, great, we're being modern. The real trouble started about 3 months after she was hired. Payday rolls around. I get the direct deposit notification on my phone. The number looks wrong. It's significantly lower than it should be. Not by a huge amount, but enough that it's instantly noticeable. Maybe a 10% drop. I figure it's a payroll error, a glitch in the system, annoying but fixable. I open up my digital pay stub to see what's going on. There's my gross pay, my taxes, my 401k contribution, and then there's a new line item. It's labeled Corp DC Equity Contribution. I have no idea what that is. I was never told about this. It was never mentioned in any email or meeting. It was just there. And it was a few $100s. My money. Gone. I feel a pit in my stomach. This feels intentional. I walk over to my friend's desk, another senior designer. Let's call him Tom. Hey man, did your pay seem a little off this month? He looks up from his screen. Yeah, actually, I was just about to look at my stub. Figured they messed up my overtime. He pulls it up. His face goes from confused to angry in about 3 seconds. What the hell is Corp Equity Contribution? He says. So it's not just me. We decide to be discreet. I create a new secure group chat and add the other 5 guys from the design department. I send a simple message. Check your pay stubs for a new deduction and let me know. The replies come in one by one. Yep, got it. Same here, about $250. Mine's almost $400. What is this? Every single man on the team had the deduction. We start comparing notes. The deduction wasn't a flat fee. It was a percentage. The more you earned, the higher the deduction was. As a lead designer, my cut was one of the biggest. We're all trying to figure out what's going on. Is this some new local tax? Did the company change its benefits plan without telling us? Nothing makes sense. It feels shady. Then one of the junior guys drops a message in the chat that makes everything click into place. This is going to sound weird, he writes, but I was in the break room earlier and I overheard 2 of the women from the marketing department talking. One of them was super happy because she got a surprise bonus this month, called it a gender equity dividend. Silence in the chat for a full minute. We all know instantly. There's no doubt in my mind. She's taking our money and giving it to the female employees. The anger I feel is cold and clear. It's not about the money, not really. It's the sheer injustice, the betrayal. To just take something I earned, something my family relies on, without my consent, based on some twisted ideology. It's theft, but we know we're trapped. What are we going to do? Complain? We'd be immediately labeled. We'd be the toxic males who can't handle a woman in power. We'd be the fragile guys upset about a little pay adjustment for the sake of equality. Luna would spin it so fast our heads would spin. She'd probably welcome the confrontation. It would prove her point. We'd be crucified in a company-wide email before we even got back to our desks. We talk about going to Mr. Moore, but we decide against it for now. He hired her. He trusts her. If we go to him without ironclad, undeniable proof, it just becomes our word against hers. And she's the head of people and culture. Who is he going to believe? A bunch of disgruntled male employees or the HR expert he just hired to modernize his company? We feel completely powerless. It's a perfect trap. Some of the guys are saying we should just quit, find new jobs. But I'm not ready to do that. I love this job. I love the work. I've built a career here. I'm not going to be forced out of my own company by some ideologue on a power trip. I decide I have to do something. I have to fight back. But it has to be smart. It has to be methodical. It has to be undeniable. The next day I decide to confront Luna directly, not to accuse, but to gather information, to see how she reacts. I schedule a meeting with her under the pretense of discussing my career development. I walk into her office. It's been completely redecorated. The generic corporate art is gone, replaced with framed posters of famous feminists and more slogans. I sit down. She has that same plastic smile on her face. So, Ray, she says, what's on your mind? I keep my voice calm and neutral. Hi, Luna. I just had a quick question about my last paycheck. I noticed a new deduction, the corporate equity contribution, and I couldn't find any information about it. I was just wondering what it was for. Her smile doesn't waver. She's been expecting this. She has a pre-rehearsed answer. "Ah, yes," she says, leaning back in her chair. "That's part of a new company-wide initiative to proactively address historical pay disparities and foster a more equitable compensation environment." She says it so smoothly, like she's reading from a script. "Okay," I reply. "But what does that mean exactly? Where is the money going?" Her eyes narrow just a little. "We are redistributing resources to align our payroll with our stated values of diversity and inclusion. It's a standard practice in progressive companies." She's not answering the question. She's just talking in circles, using HR jargon as a shield. I press one more time. "Could I see the policy document that outlines this new deduction? I don't remember signing anything that authorized this." That's when her friendly mask finally slips. The smile vanishes. "That information is confidential to the People and Culture Department," she says, her voice suddenly cold. "It's a high-level executive decision. You don't need to worry about the specifics. You just need to know that you're a part of making Creative Forge a fairer place for everyone." She's stonewalling me, and subtly threatening me at the same time. The implication is clear. Drop it. I know I'm not going to get anything else out of her. "All right, thanks for clearing that up," I say, getting up to leave. As I walk out of her office, I feel a surge of pure adrenaline. She's arrogant. She's so sure of herself. She thinks she's untouchable. She thinks we're all just going to roll over and accept it. She has no idea who she's dealing with. That night, I can't sleep. I'm lying in bed staring at the ceiling, my mind racing. Going through official channels is useless. She controls the official channels. I have to go around her. I need proof. Hard, undeniable proof that even Mr. Moore can't ignore. And then an idea starts to form in my head. As a lead designer, I have a higher level of security clearance on the company's internal server than most employees. I need access to project files, asset libraries, and archives that are stored in restricted directories. I've never used my access to snoop around. I'm not that guy. But this is different. This isn't snooping. This is a counterintelligence operation. The next morning, I get to the office an hour early. The building is quiet and empty. I sit down at my desk, my heart pounding. I feel like a spy in a movie. I log into the company's network. I navigate to the main server directory. I can see all the department folders: design, marketing, finance, etc. And then I see it. HR confidential. My normal access should stop me here. This should be locked down. I double-click on it, expecting to get an access denied message. But it opens. I'm in. My blood runs cold. I can't believe it. She's so arrogant that she didn't even bother to properly secure her own department's folder. Inside, it's a mess of subfolders. Recruitment, benefits, employee reviews. I'm looking for something related to payroll. I find a folder named Compensation Strategy. This has to be it. I click on it. There are a dozen files inside, Word documents, PDFs, and one Excel spreadsheet. The file is named payroll.equity.adjustment/q3.xlsx. My hands are shaking as I double-click to open it. It takes a moment to load, and then it's there, on my screen, the whole illegal, unethical, insane scheme laid bare in a spreadsheet. It has every single employee's name. There are columns for their base salary, their job title, their gender. Then there are the new columns. One is titled Patriarchy Tax, % Deduction. I scan down the column. Every single male employee has a number next to his name, ranging from 5% to 15%. My name is there, 10%. Every female employee's cell in that column is blank. The next column is titled Equity Dividend, Bonus. Every male employee's cell is blank. Every female employee has a dollar amount next to her name. Some are a few $100s. Some are over 1,000. But it's the last column that makes me physically sick to my stomach. The column is titled Notes. It's filled with Luna's personal comments next to each adjustment, next to my name, high-earning male, prime candidate for redistribution. No dependents listed, so impact will be minimal. Next to a junior designer who just got married, recently married, need to ensure his household is not the primary source of income to encourage spousal independence. 12% deduction. next to one of the women who received a large bonus. Single mother, top priority for equity dividend, boosted by 25%. And the most damning one of all, next to a guy who was our top performer last year, exhibits traits of toxic masculinity, overly confident, dominates conversations. Highest tax rate applied, 15%, to disincentivize behavior. This isn't just about money. This is a social engineering project. She's using her power and our salaries to punish and reward employees based on her own warped ideological scorecard. She's playing God. I know what I have to do. I plug a small encrypted flash drive into my computer's USB port. I copy the entire compensation strategy folder onto it. The spreadsheet, the policy drafts she wrote, the emails where she discussed the plan with no one. It looks like she implemented this completely on her own. I double-check that the files are copied correctly. Then I eject the drive and put it in my pocket. I cover my tracks, deleting server logs of my access to the folder. I sit back in my chair, my mind clear for the first time in weeks. The game has changed. I'm not the one in a trap anymore. She is, and she has no idea I'm holding the key. I go back to my desk and try to act normal. My heart is hammering against my ribs, but on the outside, I'm just another designer staring at a screen. The flash drive in my pocket feels like it weighs 100 pounds. The first thing I do is message the private group chat. I have it, is all I write. I have everything. Do not talk about this to anyone. Do not act differently. We meet tonight after work. My place. The rest of the day is the longest of my life. Every time Luna walks past my desk, I feel a jolt of panic. I'm irrationally afraid that she somehow knows, that she can see the files reflected in my eyes. She floats through the office with this serene, superior air, like a benevolent queen surveying her subjects. She has no idea. The thought is both terrifying and exhilarating. That evening, the guys come over. I plug the flash drive into my laptop and project the screen onto my living room TV. I open the spreadsheet. For a few minutes, there's just dead silence as they all read. I can see the same sequence of emotions on their faces that I felt that morning. Confusion, disbelief, then a slow-burning, righteous fury. One of the younger guys just keeps whispering, "I can't believe it." Tom, the other senior designer, points at the notes column. "She wrote this down? She actually wrote this stuff down? What kind of idiot?" But she's not an idiot. She's a zealot. And zealots think they're morally infallible. They don't think they need to hide what they're doing because they believe what they're doing is right. We spend the next hour discussing what to do. The consensus is immediate. We can't just send this to Mr. Moore in an email. Luna would deny it. She'd claim the document was a forgery, that I created it to slander her. She'd say it was a coordinated misogynistic attack. In the current climate, a he said, she said argument is a risk we can't take. A woman's word in an HR context, especially against a group of men, carries immense weight. We need to present this in a way that is so public, so undeniable, that she can't spin her way out of it. We need witnesses. The whole company has to see it at the same time. The quarterly all-hands meeting is in 3 weeks. It's the only time the entire company, including Mr. Moore and all the department heads, are in the same room. During the meeting, each department head gives a presentation on their progress and achievements over the last quarter. Luna will be there. She will be on stage with a microphone in front of everyone. It's the perfect stage. We make a plan. It's simple, but it has to be executed perfectly. We will wait. We will continue to take the illegal pay cuts for the next 3 weeks. We will not breathe a word of this to anyone else, not even our friendliest female colleagues. We can't risk a leak. On the day of the meeting, I will bring my laptop. When Luna gets up to give her triumphant speech about achieving gender pay equity, I will be ready. The wait is agonizing. The office environment gets worse. Now that Luna has established her payroll scheme, she's emboldened. She introduces a new mentorship policy. Junior employees can be mentored by senior employees, but she strongly encourages women mentoring women. She puts out a sign-up sheet, and when one of our best junior designers, a young guy, asks me to be his mentor, Luna steps in. She pulls him aside and explains that it would be more developmentally appropriate for him to be mentored by a woman, to help him unlearn his unconscious biases. The kid is completely confused, but he's too scared to argue. I see him later, assigned to a female designer from another department who doesn't even use the same software he does. His growth is being actively stunted for the sake of ideology. The sensitivity workshops continue. In one, she puts up a slide about male-coded language and lists words like dominate, crush, and execute as examples of toxic vocabulary we should avoid. We're a design firm. These are standard universal terms for project management and strategy. It's insane. All the while, the guys and I are a silent conspiracy. We communicate with glances across the room. We hold our tongues when we want to scream. We are playing the long game. Every condescending email she sends, every ridiculous new poster she puts up, just adds more fuel to the fire. It reinforces our resolve. Finally, the day of the quarterly meeting arrives. I feel strangely calm. I have my laptop in my bag, the flash drive securely in my pocket. I've rehearsed what I'm going to say 100 times. The whole company files into the main presentation hall. It's a big auditorium-style room with a stage at the front and a huge projection screen. Mr. Moore kicks things off with a speech about company profits and future projects. Then the head of marketing gives a presentation, then the head of development. It's all standard corporate fare. Then, Mr. Moore introduces the head of people and culture. Luna walks onto the stage. She's beaming. She absolutely loves the spotlight. "Good afternoon, Creative Forge," she begins, her voice echoing through the speakers. She launches into her presentation. It's even worse than I imagined. She talks about all the cultural victories she's achieved in the last quarter, the workshops, the new mentorship program, the safe spaces. Then she gets to her grand finale. A huge slide appears on the screen behind her. It's a bar graph. 2 bars, one labeled male average salary and one labeled female average salary, are shown side by side. In the previous quarter, the male bar was slightly higher. In the current quarter, the 2 bars are perfectly mathematically equal. "As you can see," Luna says, gesturing to the screen with a flourish, "I am incredibly proud to announce that in just 1 quarter, we have completely eliminated the gender pay gap at Creative Forge." The room is quiet for a second. Some people, mostly from the departments that weren't affected, start to clap politely. My female colleagues on the design team look confused. They knew they got bonuses, but they probably didn't realize the scale of this. They look at the graph, then at us, then back at the graph. Luna basks in the applause for a moment. It's been a long road, but through a strategic and proactive reallocation of compensation resources, we have achieved true, measurable equity. This is it. This is my moment. I stand up. My legs feel a little unsteady, but my voice is clear. "Luna, I have a question about that data." The room goes silent. All heads turn towards me. Luna's smile tightens. She wasn't expecting an interruption. "Now is not the time for Q&A, Ray," she says dismissively. "You can schedule a meeting with me later." She's trying to shut me down. But then Mr. Moore, who is sitting in the front row, turns in his seat. He looks intrigued. No, he says, his voice calm. "Let the man ask his question. We're all here. What's on your mind, son?" The whole room is watching me. The other guys on my team are giving me subtle nods of encouragement. I have the floor. "Thank you, Mr. Moore," I say. "My question is for Luna. Could you please explain the methodology you use to achieve this equity? Specifically, what reallocation of compensation resources are you referring to?" Luna's face goes blank. She knows exactly what I'm asking. She tries to deflect with jargon. It was a multifaceted approach, leveraging dynamic compensation, scaling, and I cut her off. I've never interrupted a boss in my life, but I do now. "That's not an answer," I say, my voice still calm but firm. "Perhaps I could show you what I mean. I have a document that might shed some light on the methodology." I don't wait for permission. I walk down the aisle towards the stage. Luna is staring at me, her eyes wide with a mixture of anger and panic. "This is highly inappropriate," she stammers. "You can't just hijack a company meeting." "I think everyone here deserves to see the truth," I say. I get to the front, take the HDMI cable from her laptop, and plug it into mine. The image on the giant screen behind her switches from her self-congratulatory bar graph to my desktop. I open the file. Payroll Equity Adjustment Q3.xlsx. The spreadsheet fills the entire screen, hundreds of rows and columns of data. The silence in the room is absolute. You can hear a pin drop. I take the microphone from the podium. This, I announce, my voice booming through the auditorium, is the document that Luna, our head of people and culture, created to manage her new payroll initiative. I use my mouse to highlight the first column. As you can see, it lists every employee in the company. I move to the next column, and here is their gender. Then I highlight the column that sealed her fate. And this column is titled, in her own words, the patriarchy tax. A wave of gasps and murmurs ripples through the crowd. This column contains a percentage, a tax, that was applied exclusively to every single male employee in this company. The money was deducted directly from our paychecks without our knowledge or consent. I scroll down the list, highlighting name after name, percentage after percentage. Then I highlight the next column. This corresponding column is titled the equity dividend. This is where our money went. It was given as a bonus exclusively to the female employees. I can see the female designers on my team staring at the screen in horror. They're realizing for the first time that their bonuses were just their male colleagues' stolen wages. They look betrayed. Luna is just standing there, frozen. She looks like a cornered animal. But I'm not done. The most disturbing part, I say, my voice dropping, is this last column, the notes column. This is where Luna justified her actions. I zoom in on the notes section so everyone can read it. I read them aloud. High-earning male, prime candidate for redistribution. Exhibits traits of toxic masculinity. Highest tax rate applied to disincentivize behavior. Single mother, top priority for equity dividend. When I finish, the silence is deafening. Then Luna finds her voice. But it's not a calm corporate voice anymore. It's a shrill, panicked shriek. This is a lie. That document is fake. He created it. He's a misogynist who can't handle a woman in power, and he's attacking me. This is a coordinated attack. But her words are empty. Everyone in the room saw the data. They know it's real. Mr. Moore has been sitting in the front row, his face growing darker and darker with every word I said. He slowly stands up. He looks ancient and powerful, like a wrathful god. He walks onto the stage. He doesn't look at me. He looks directly at Luna. His voice is quiet, but it carries a terrifying weight. It cuts through her yelling and silences the entire room. "Is this true?" he asks. "No, of course not. I'm not talking to him," Mr. Moore says, his voice like ice. "I'm talking to you. Did you create this system? Did you take money from one group of my employees and give it to another?" Luna opens her mouth, but no sound comes out. She's trapped. She knows it's over. Mr. Moore stares at her for a long, agonizing moment. "Get your things," he says finally. "Security will escort you from the building. You are fired. Do not contact anyone at this company ever again. You will be hearing from our lawyers." Luna just stands there, shaking. Two security guards, who had been standing by the back wall, walk purposefully down the aisle and onto the stage. They each take one of her arms, gently but firmly. She doesn't resist. All the fight has gone out of her. She just lets them lead her away, past all her former colleagues, in complete and utter public humiliation. The room is silent as we watch her go. The aftermath is swift. The meeting is obviously over. Mr. Moore dismisses everyone, except for the male employees of the design team. He leads us into his personal office. He looks exhausted. He closes the door and turns to us. "First," he says, "I want to apologize. I hired her. I trusted her. I let this happen under my roof. There is no excuse. I have failed you, and for that, I am truly sorry." It's the most sincere apology I've ever heard. He promises us two things. First, a full audit will be conducted, and every single dollar that was illegally taken from us will be repaid, with interest, plus a significant bonus for the distress caused. Second, he tells us the company is pressing criminal charges. "This wasn't just unethical," he says, his jaw tight. "This was theft. This was fraud. This was a criminal conspiracy. She will not get away with this." True to his word, things move quickly. Within a week, the stolen money is back in our accounts, along with a bonus that more than makes up for the trouble. A company-wide email goes out, explaining that the former HR director had implemented an unauthorized and illegal compensation scheme that unfairly targeted a group of employees. It states that the company has rectified the financial damages and is cooperating fully with a law enforcement investigation. A few weeks later, we see the news online. Local HR executive charged with fraud, grand larceny. The article details how Luna used her position to systematically defraud employees, redirecting tens of thousands of dollars based on a discriminatory system she created herself. The legal process takes months, but we follow it closely. Her defense is exactly what we expected. She claims she was a victim of a patriarchal system, that she was only trying to create equality, that the men she stole from were privileged and didn't need the money. The judge doesn't buy it for a second. The evidence is overwhelming. The spreadsheet, the bank records, the testimony from Mr. Moore, and all of us. She is found guilty on all charges. The final update comes almost a year after that fateful meeting. A simple headline: former executive sentenced to 4 years in state prison. The judge, in his sentencing statement, said that the pursuit of one's personal political ideology is not a license to break the law and victimize others. Justice. The office went back to normal, mostly. Mr. Moore hired a new, no-nonsense HR person, an older guy who just cared about compliance and paperwork. The posters came down. The workshops stopped. We were back to being a company that just cared about doing good work. The bond between the guys on the design team is stronger than ever. We went through a fire together and came out the other side. Sometimes I think about Luna. I wonder if she understands what she did wrong, not just legally, but morally. I doubt it. People like her never think they're the villain, but it doesn't matter. She's gone. We won. We didn't yell. We didn't protest. We didn't get angry. We got cold. We got smart. And we used the truth as a weapon. And in the end, it was more than enough.